Hello, stackers. Welcome back to the channel. I want you to picture something. I want you to close your eyes and visualize a beast. Not a fairy tale monster, but a mechanical one. A beast made of silicon, glass, and aluminium. For the last 10 years, this beast has been sleeping in the corner of the global economy. It was living on scraps. It was a niche industry. The bankers laughed at it. The oil tycoons ignored it. But today, right now, as you're watching this video, that beast is awake. It stands 500 feet tall. It is insatiable. And it has just realized that the only food that can keep it alive is the silver stack sitting in your safe. We are watching a silent emergency unfold. You won't see it on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. You won't see it on CNBC because they are too busy talking about the latest AI bubble or whatever distraction the algorithm is feeding you today. They are looking at the stock prices of solar companies, which are volatile, but they are not looking at the physical purchase orders. If you look at the supply chains, if you look at the actual procurement contracts leaving the factories in Shenzhen, in Malaysia, in Vietnam, in India, you see panic, you see desperation. We are seeing a complete structural decoupling between the industrial reality of the green energy transition and the paper delusion of the COMEX futures market. Today, we are taking a deep dive. We are going to deconstruct the solar black hole. This isn't just a story about solar panels use silver. We passed that story 5 years ago. That is old news. That is priced in. The story today is about a fundamental shift in physics and chemistry that has effectively turned the solar industry into a vacuum cleaner that is now powerful enough to suck up 100%. Yes, you heard me correctly, 100% of global mine supply within this decade. The spot price on your screen? That is a ghost. That is a memory of a market that used to exist. The real market is happening in the dark, in private off-market deals, where premiums are exploding and industrial giants are fighting for every single ounce of Ag 47. Buckle up, grab your coffee, cancel your appointments. We are going deep today, and let's start with the scale. Humans are very bad at understanding exponential numbers. We think linearly, 1, 2, 3, 4. We think that tomorrow will look roughly like yesterday, but the solar industry is not growing linearly. It is growing exponentially. It is doubling. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. 10 years ago, the world installed maybe 50 gigawatts of solar in a good year. It was cute. It was a nice little science project for Germany and California. Fast forward to 2024, we blew past 400 gigawatts. Fast forward to 2025, we pushed past 500 gigawatts. The International Energy Agency, the IEA, is a group of bureaucrats who are notoriously conservative. They have underestimated solar growth every single year for 20 years. Their charts are always wrong because they are always too low. But even they are now admitting the truth. To hit the net zero targets that governments have legally mandated for 2030 or 2035, we do not need gigawatts anymore. We need terawatts. We need to be installing 1 terawatt, that is 1,000 gigawatts, of solar capacity every single year. Do you understand what a terawatt is? Let me put it in terms that make your bones shake. A standard nuclear power plant produces about 1 gigawatt of power. So the global mandate, the law, is asking us to build the equivalent of 1,000 nuclear power plants every single year in the form of glass and silicon panels. And every single one of those panels, every square inch of that massive surface area, needs a conductive paste to turn sunlight into electricity. That paste is made of silver. There is no other element in the periodic table that does the job efficiently enough. None. We will talk about copper later, but for now, understand this. Silver is the most conductive metal in the known universe. It is the only metal that can handle the efficiency requirements of modern solar tech without burning out. So we have a mandate to build a terawatt of power. And we have a geological reality that says we haven't found a major new silver deposit in 2 decades. This is the definition of an irresistible force meeting an immovable object. And when they collide, the only thing that gives way is the price. Now, I need you to pay attention here. This is the technical part that the experts always get wrong. This is the weapon that the bank analysts use to try and kill the silver bull thesis. For years, the banking cartel's analysts, the guys at Goldman, at Citi, at JP Morgan, have had one main argument to be bearish on silver. It was their security blanket. It was the thrifting argument. They said, yes, AG, solar is growing, but technology is getting better. Engineers are smart. They're using thinner lines of silver paste. They're using less silver per cell. So even if we make more panels, the total silver demand will stay flat or go down. And for a while, to be fair, they were right. From 2010 to 2020, the amount of silver in a solar cell dropped by about 80%. They squeezed every milligram out of that design. It was called PERC technology. But here's the breaking news that the banks are ignoring. Here is the data point that changes everything. Thrifting is dead. We hit the wall of physics. You cannot make the silver lines any thinner, or they break under the electrical load. You cannot use less silver, or the efficiency drops. And in the solar game, efficiency is everything. It is a war. If your panel is 21% efficient, and the Chinese competitor next door is 22% efficient, you go bankrupt. Your factory closes. So, the industry had to pivot. They had to switch to new technologies to get more power. Enter TOPCon, tunnel oxide passivated contact. Enter HJT, heterojunction. These are the new standards. In 2025 and moving into 2026, over 80% of new factory lines are being built exclusively for TOPCon. Here's the kicker. Here's the punchline that should make every short seller sweat through their expensive suit. TOPCon uses more silver than the old tech. Not a little bit more. 50% more. HJT uses double the silver. 200% more. Why? Because the old PERC cells only needed silver paste on the front side to collect the electrons. The backside was aluminium. But TOPCon? TOPCon is bifacial. It captures light from the front and the reflection from the back. It needs silver grids on both sides. So the thrifting curve didn't just flatten, it inverted. It turned upward violently. We are now manufacturing more panels than ever before. And each one of those panels is hungrier for silver than the ones we built 5 years ago. We are seeing silver loadings go from a low of 10 milligrams per watt back up to 13, 15, even 20 milligrams per watt with the newest high-performance panels. Multiply 15 milligrams by 1 terawatt of installation. Do the math. I'll wait. The number you get is staggering. It is approaching 500 million ounces. That is more than half of the entire annual mine supply of the planet Earth, just for one sector. Now, I hear this in the comments all the time. I see the trolls. I see the skeptics. But AG, surely they will find a substitute. Technology always finds a way. Graphene, carbon nanotubes, copper plating. Let's address the copper fantasy right now. Let's kill this myth so we never have to talk about it again. Let's talk chemistry. A solar panel is not an iPhone that sits in your pocket. A solar panel is a piece of infrastructure that lives in a hostile environment. It sits on a roof for 30 years. It bakes in 120-degree heat in the Arizona desert. It freezes in 20-degree cold in the Canadian winter. It gets rained on. It gets hit with hail. It gets hit with UV radiation, which destroys chemical bonds. You need a metal that is noble, a metal that doesn't react, a metal that doesn't rust. If you use copper, what happens? Copper is promiscuous. It loves oxygen. It loves humidity. If even a microscopic amount of air gets into that panel, the copper oxidizes. It turns green. It loses conductivity. The electrical connection snaps. The panel dies. Imagine you are a solar developer. You are BlackRock. You are Vanguard. You just spent $500 million building a massive solar farm in Nevada. You signed a contract to provide power to the grid for 20 years. Are you going to risk that entire $500 million investment to save $5 on silver paste by using experimental copper plating? No, you're not. The liability risk is too high. The warranty risk is too high. If those panels fail in year 3, your company is bankrupt. The banks financing these projects, ironically, the same banks bashing silver, will not lend money to a project that uses unproven copper-based panels. They demand bankability. And in the solar world, bankability means silver, so the demand is inelastic. This is an economic term you need to tattoo on your brain, inelasticity. It means the buyer does not care about the price. If silver goes to $50, they buy. If silver goes to $100, they buy. If silver goes to $200, they buy. Why? Because silver is a tiny fraction of the total cost of the panel. Even at $100 an ounce, the silver in a panel costs maybe $15 or $20. The panel sells for $200 or $300. It's still profitable. It's still cheaper than coal. It's still cheaper than nuclear. But for you and me, for the retail investor, $100 silver is a life-changing event. For the solar industry, it is a rounding error. It is a cost of doing business. This means they will chase the price to the moon. They have the deep pockets. They have the government mandates. They have the net zero trillions behind them. They will outbid you. They will outbid the jewelry makers. They will outbid the electronics companies. They are the vacuum cleaner. And they are currently set to max power. Why is this happening now? Why wasn't I screaming about this 3 years ago? Because of the lag time. The decisions to build these massive TOPCon factories in China, factories the size of small cities, were made in 2023 and 2024. Those factories took 18 months to build. They are coming online right now. We are seeing reports from the paste manufacturers, the companies like Heraeus that take raw silver bars and turn them into the conductive paste, that their order books are full for the next 24 months. They are running 24/7 shifts. They are consuming 1,000-ounce bars faster than the refineries can cast them. And remember, this demand is front-loaded. You have to buy the silver before you make the panel. You have to buy the silver before you ship the panel. You have to buy the silver before you install the solar farm. So the silver demand hits the physical market 6 to 12 months before the panels hit the roof. We are currently in the eye of that storm. The purchasing managers are scrambling. They are calling the bullion banks in London and saying, I need 50 tons. I need it next week. And the bullion banks are looking at the vaults, and they are sweating, because the metal isn't there. This is the setup. The beast is awake, the food is scarce, and the price is wrong. Let me give you one more technical detail that the mainstream misses. It's the shift to N-type cells. I won't bore you with the semiconductor physics, but here is the simplified version. The old P-type cells degrade under sunlight. It's called LID, light-induced degradation. They lose power over time. N-type cells do not degrade as fast. They last longer. They produce more power. But N-type cells require a purer form of silver paste. You cannot use recycled scrap silver easily for this. You need high purity, virgin metal. This means the solar industry cannot rely on melting down old silverware or old electronics. The impurities are too high. They need fresh bars, straight from the refiner, straight from the mine. This puts even more pressure on the primary supply. It bypasses the secondary market. It creates a bottleneck at the refinery level. We are seeing a squeeze on high purity silver, which is decoupling from standard commercial grade silver. This is why you see premiums. The industry is paying up for the good stuff, leaving the dregs for the rest of the market. And who controls this beast? China. China produces over 80% of the world's solar panels. They control 90% of the wafer production. They control the polysilicon. Do you think China is going to let a silver shortage stop their energy dominance? Do you think they are going to let the price of silver dictate their national strategy? No, they are securing supply. They are draining the West. We are seeing massive imports of silver into China through the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They are not exporting it back out. They are consuming it. The West, London and New York, is acting like a discount store. We are selling our strategic silver reserves to China at paper-suppressed prices, and China is taking that silver, turning it into solar panels, and selling the panels back to us at a profit. We are being fleeced. We are selling the engine of the future to buy cheap plastic goods. This demand from China is state-sponsored. It is strategic. It is not price-sensitive. When the Chinese state decides to build 200 gigawatts of solar in the Gobi Desert, they do not check the COMEX price first. They just order the metal. Welcome back to the trenches. We've looked at the demand monster. Now we need to look at the ground. Any economics 101 professor sitting in his ivory tower will tell you, oh, don't worry. When demand goes up and prices rise, supply will naturally follow. It's the invisible hand. It's a nice theory. It works great for widgets. If people want more plastic toys, you build another factory and you print more plastic toys. If people want more digital code, you hire more developers. But silver is not a widget. Silver is an element. Atomic number 47, born in the heart of a dying star. You cannot print it. You cannot synthesize it in a lab at scale. You have to find it, permit it, dig it, crush it, and refine it. And here's the problem that the 101 professors don't understand about the resource market in 2026. We have picked the garden clean. We are not facing a logistical delay. We are facing a geological cliff. Today, we are going to look at why the mining industry is broken, why the supply response everyone expects is not coming, and why a global recession might actually make the silver shortage twice as bad. Let's look at the data coming out of the big three: Mexico, Peru, and China. These three countries are the Saudi Arabia of silver. They account for the lion's share of global production. If you look at the charts from the major miners, Fresnillo, Pan American Silver, Hochschild, you notice something terrifying. The production numbers are flatlining. Or worse, they are dropping. Why? Are they lazy? No, it is called ore grade decline. 50 years ago, if you dug up a ton of rock in Mexico, you might find 200 or 300 grams of silver in it. It was rich. It was easy. You could practically pick it out with a shovel. Today, the average primary silver mine is lucky to find 100 grams per ton. Many are operating at 40 or 50 grams. Think about the physics of that. To get the same amount of silver ounce for ounce, you now have to dig up 3 times as much rock. You need 3 times the diesel fuel, 3 times the water, 3 times the explosives, 3 times the truck tires. This is the Red Queen effect from Alice in Wonderland. You have to run faster and faster just to stay in the same place. So when you hear people say, oh, at $50 silver, the miners will flood the market. Ask them, from where? From the same holes that are already running empty? The cost of production isn't $20 anymore. When you factor in the energy costs, the inflation, and the declining grades, the real marginal cost to replace an ounce of silver is skyrocketing. We have starved this industry of capital for 10 years because the paper price was suppressed. We told the miners silver is cheap, so they stopped exploring, they stopped developing. And now suddenly, the world wakes up and screams, we need silver. And the geology is saying, sorry, you're too late. But let's say we get lucky. Let S say a geologist stumbles over a rock in Nevada tomorrow and finds the mother lode, a massive, high-grade deposit. Does that solve our solar problem for 2286? No. That silver won't see the light of day until 2040. The timeline to build a mine has exploded. In the 1990s, you could find a deposit and be mining it in 4 or 5 years. Today, in the US, Canada, or Australia, it takes 15 to 20 years. You have to do the environmental impact study, then the feasibility study, then the tribal consultation, then the water rights battle, then the lawsuit from the NGO, then the appeal. By the time you actually pour your first bar of silver, the solar boom will have already eaten the world's inventory 3 times over. The supply chain is completely inelastic in the short term. You cannot turn a mine on like a light switch. We are currently mining deposits that were found in the early 2000s. We are living off the discoveries of the past, and we have not replenished the pipeline. The cupboard is bare, folks. The pipeline is empty. Now, I need you to lean in. This is the most technical part of the supply side, and it is the part that Wall Street always gets wrong. This is the byproduct trap. You have to understand where silver actually comes from. Most silver, over 72%, is not mined from silver mines. Primary silver mines are unicorns. They are rare. The vast majority of silver comes as a byproduct from lead, zinc, copper, and gold mines. Glencore digs a massive hole in Peru to find copper. In that dirt, they find a little bit of silver. They separate it and sell it. It's the free toy in the Happy Meal. They don't care about it. It's a bonus check. Why does this matter? Why is this dangerous? Because it breaks the law of supply and demand. Let's say silver goes to $100 an ounce. Does the copper miner increase production? No, he runs a copper mine. His shareholders care about copper. He's not going to ramp up a multi-billion-dollar operation just to chase a little bit of extra silver dust. But here is the nightmare scenario. The recession. We are looking at a global economic slowdown. Manufacturing is slowing. Construction is slowing. If demand for copper drops and demand for zinc drops, the price of base metals falls. What does the miner do? He cuts production. He shuts down the mine or reduces shifts to save money on copper. And when he stops digging for copper, he stops producing silver. Do you see the trap? We could be in a situation where the world is desperate for silver, for money in solar, pushing the price to the moon. But because the industrial economy is weak, the supply of silver actually falls. We could see a 10% or 20% drop in global silver supply precisely when demand is hitting all-time highs. It is a paradox. A recession doesn't kill silver demand because of the safe haven investment status, but it does kill silver supply because of the base metal link. This is not a supply chain. This is a supply trap. We have to talk about the geopolitical map. Where's the silver? Mexico, Peru, Chile, Russia, China. Look at that list. Is that a list of stable, pro-Western, free market democracies? Mexico is becoming increasingly hostile to foreign mining companies. They have banned open-pit mining permits. They are talking about nationalizing lithium. The cartels are controlling territory around the mines. Peru is in a constant state of political flux. Road blockades by local communities are shutting down mines like Las Bambas regularly. Russia? Sanctioned. Their metal is flowing east, not west. China? They are hoarding their own production. We are seeing the rise of resource nationalism. Countries are realizing that their minerals are their only real wealth. They are tired of selling them to Canadian and American companies for pennies. They are changing the rules. They are raising taxes. They are seizing assets. If you are a CEO of a mining company, are you going to deploy $1 billion of capital into a country that might seize your mine next year? No. You are sitting on your hands. You're doing share buybacks instead of building mines. This is capital starvation. The mining industry is liquidating itself. They are not replacing the reserves they dig up. They are eating their seed corn to pay dividends to shareholders who hate them. This guarantees, mathematically guarantees, that supply will fall in the coming years. Now, let's talk about the savior, the green solution, the thing every environmentalist screams about, recycling. Hey, AG, we will just recycle the old solar panels. It's a circular economy. Let me paint you a picture of this so-called circular economy. Right now, it costs about $25 to $35 to properly recycle a solar panel. You have to transport it, shred it, use toxic chemicals to separate the glass from the silicon from the silver. It is energy intensive and messy. And what do you get out of it? What is the value of the materials you recover? At current prices, maybe $3, maybe $4. Do the math. You spend $30 to make $4. Nobody's doing that. Unless the government steps in with massive subsidies, which they don't have the money for because they are broke, or unless silver goes to $500 an ounce, there is no economic incentive to recycle these panels. So where do they go? Landfills. They're being crushed and buried in the desert. We are throwing away millions of ounces because the price is too low to save them. And even if we could recycle them, There is a timing mismatch. The panels being thrown away today are from 2005. Back then, solar was a tiny industry. There simply isn't enough volume in the waste stream to meet the demand of the new factories. We are installing 500 gigawatts a year now. We are scrapping maybe 10 gigawatts a year from the old days. It's a drop in the bucket. It is a rounding error. Recycling is a myth, at least for this decade. It will not save us. The supply must come from the ground, and the ground is saying no. So let's combine Act 1 and Act 2. On the left side, the solar beast, voracious, inelastic, growing exponentially, shifting to silver-heavy TOPCon tech. On the right side, the supply cliff, falling ore grades, byproduct dependency, no recycling, capital starvation, political instability. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Something breaks. Usually the price breaks, upwards. But before the price breaks, something else happens. The availability breaks. We are heading toward a scenario I call unobtainium, a scenario where you call your dealer and he says, I have nothing. A scenario where the Apple or Samsung executive calls the refiner, and the refiner says, I'm allocated. I can't give you metal until next month. That is when the panic starts. Real panic isn't when the price goes down. Real panic is when you have money, but you cannot buy the goods. We are seeing the early signs of this. Why do you think premiums on eagles and maples stay high even when spot dips? Why do you think the Shanghai premium exists? Because physical metal is getting sticky. It's getting hard to find in volume. The flow is drying up. The river is becoming a creek. And pretty soon, the creek is going to be a dry bed of dust. Welcome to the end game. We have seen the voracious demand. We have seen the dying supply. Now we must look at the mechanism that has kept this reality hidden from the public for so long. The curtain that hides the wizard, the paper market, the COMEX, the LBMA. For 40 years, the price of silver has not been determined by supply and demand. It has not been determined by miners or solar factories. It has been determined by the trading of futures contracts, digital bets on the price of silver, where no metal ever changes hands. For every single ounce of real physical silver sitting in a registered vault in New York, there are 300, 400, sometimes 500 paper ounces traded back and forth. It is the world's most dangerous game of musical chairs. As long as the music plays, and as long as nobody asks for their chair, as long as nobody stands for delivery, the game works. The banks can print unlimited paper silver to smash the price down whenever it starts to rally. They can sell contracts. They don't have to buyers who don't want the metal. But here's the thing about musical chairs. Eventually, the music stops. And right now, the music isn't just stopping, it is stuttering. The needle is skipping. Why? Because for the first time in history, the big buyers, the whales, the nations, the industrial giants, are bypassing the paper market entirely. They are tired of the game. They are going straight to the vaults. And they are taking the chairs home. How do we know the market is breaking? How do we know this isn't just another conspiracy theory? Look east. Look at the data that the Western media refuses to show you. For the last 18 months, there has been a persistent, glaring anomaly in the global silver market, a glitch in the matrix. The price of silver in Shanghai, on the Shanghai Gold Exchange, SGE, has been consistently higher than the price in New York, COMEX, or London, LBMA. At times, silver is traded for $3, $4, even $5 more per ounce in China than in the US. In a free, functioning market, this shouldn't exist. Traders would buy the cheap silver in New York, fly it to Shanghai, sell it for a massive profit, and the prices would equalize within days. It's called arbitrage, but the gap remains. It persists. Why? Because the metal is flowing one way. It is a one-way street. The arbitrage window is stuck open. China is vacuuming up the physical inventory of the West. They are using the low COMEX price, which is set by paper shorts and algorithms, to buy real physical metal at a discount. They are laughing at us. The West is suppressing the price of its own strategic asset, effectively subsidizing China's solar industry. We are giving away our silver for pennies because our banks are obsessed with short-term trading profits. The vaults in London are bleeding. The vaults in New York are bleeding. We are seeing a massive wealth transfer from west to east. And when that metal enters China, it doesn't come back. It goes into a factory, onto a panel, or into a strategic state reserve. It enters the black hole. It is gone forever. Let's look at the specific data point that terrifies the shorts. I want you to pull up the chart of COMEX registered silver inventory. Now, understand the jargon. Eligible means silver sitting in the vault that belongs to someone else, maybe you, maybe a fund. It's not for sale. Registered means metal that is actually available to be delivered to a contract holder. It is the dealer's showroom. It is the for sale inventory. In 2021, at the height of the silver squeeze movement, there were nearly 150 million ounces in registered. The bank said, "See, we are swimming in silver. Go home, Reddit." Look at it now. It has plummeted. We are down to the 30, 40 million ounce range. That sounds like a lot, right? 30 million ounces, it's nothing. At current prices, that is less than $1 billion worth of metal. Think about that. $1 billion. Elon Musk could buy the entire COMEX registered inventory with the change in his couch cushions. A single hedge fund could wipe it out in a morning. Apple could buy it all to secure their supply chain for the next 5 years and not even notice the hit to their balance sheet. The buffer is gone. The inventory is razor thin. We are operating on fumes. And remember, a lot of that registered metal might not even be truly for sale. It might be spoken for. It might be leased. It might be encumbered. The real free float, the metal you can actually buy right now, is likely nearly zero. This is why we see such violent volatility. When there is no liquidity, price moves become explosive. We are one headline away from a vacuum. What does the end of the manipulation look like? It doesn't look like a slow, steady drift higher. It looks like a bank run. A bank run happens when depositors realize the bank doesn't have their cash. They all rush to the door at once. In the silver market, the bank run happens when industrial users realize the COMEX doesn't have the metal. Imagine this scenario. It's a Tuesday. A major solar manufacturer in Korea realizes their regular shipment from the refiner is delayed. They panic. They cannot stop the factory line. They go to the futures market. They buy a contract. They stand for delivery of 5 million ounces. The COMEX warehouse checks the ledger. They check the vault. It's empty. They declare force majeure. They offer to settle the contract in cash. Here's your money back, plus a 10% premium. Go away. But the manufacturer says, I can't build a solar panel with cash. I need the metal. So they take the cash and they go into the open market, the physical street market. They bid $35, no sellers. They bid $40. No sellers, they bid $50. Suddenly, the spot price disconnects from reality. The paper price on the screen might say $30, but the street price to actually get a bar of silver is $60. This is called backwardation. It is when the spot price is higher than the futures price. It is the market screaming that there is a shortage right now. We are already seeing flashes of this. We are seeing backwardation in the London market. The warning lights are blinking red. When the dam breaks, the price will not go up 10%. It will gap up 50% or 100% in days. It is the nickel squeeze of 2022 all over again, but on a global scale, involving a strategic metal that the entire world economy depends on. Finally, let's talk about the wild card, the X factor. You, the public, the retail investor. Right now, the silver market is driven by industry and a few die-hard stackers. The general public is asleep. They are buying Nvidia. They are buying Bitcoin. They are chasing the shiny digital objects. But silver has a habit of going viral. It is affordable. It is shiny. It feels like real money. It is the people's money. When the headlines start screaming silver shortage, green energy crisis, strategic metal panic, the retail herd will turn. The silver market is tiny. It is a minnow. If 0.5% of the capital currently sitting in the S&P 500 decided to move into silver, the market doubles. Overnight. There is simply not enough metal to handle a wave of capital. We saw a glimpse of this in 2021 with the silver squeeze. That was just a few guys on Reddit. Imagine if it's the pension funds. Imagine if it's the sovereign wealth funds. The crowd is coming, and the theater has no seats left. There is one more layer, the fear trade. We are living in a world of digital illusions, digital currency, digital stocks, AI-generated news. People are losing trust in the system. They are losing trust in the banks. They are losing trust in the dollar. There is a primal psychological shift happening. People want something real. Silver is not just an industrial metal. It is monetary history. It is 5,000 years of trust. It is the only money mentioned in the Bible that is still money today. When the central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, roll out, and they try to track every penny you spend, silver will become the last bastion of financial privacy. It is the uncancelable asset. You hold it. You own it. No counterparty risk. No electricity needed. No password required. This monetary premium is currently priced at zero. The market treats silver like copper. But silver is money. When the monetary premium returns, combined with the solar shortage, combined with the mining cliff, the target price isn't $50. $50 is a joke. $50 is the 1980 high. Adjusted for real inflation, the 1980 high is $150 or more. We are looking at a repricing of reality. So here's the summary. The executive briefing for the AG Daily Platoon. Demand is vertical. The solar beast is eating 500 million ounces a year and growing. It is price inelastic. It will not stop. Supply is dying. Mines are depleting. Grades are crashing. And green politics are killing new projects. The response is not coming. Inventory is gone. The vaults are empty, the surplus is drained, and China has taken the rest. The buffer is zero. Paper is breaking. The comics game is ending as physical delivery becomes the only metric that matters. The bank run has begun in slow motion. This is not a drill. This is not a hype video. This is math. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because the window of opportunity is closing. Right now, you can still trade your paper fiat currency, which they print by the trillion out of thin air, for physical silver, which they have to dig out of the ground at great cost. It is the greatest arbitrage in history. It is a cheat code. But one day soon, you will go to the dealer and the buy button will be grayed out. One day soon, the premiums will be 100%. One day soon, the spot price will be a meaningless number on a broken screen. Do not be the person standing outside the ark when the rain starts. The math is done. The physics are set. The outcome is inevitable. If you have the metal, hold it tight. If you don't, get it while it is still priced for a world that no longer exists. Keep stacking. Keep your head on a swivel. And do not let them shake you out. I will see you on the next one.